Hello, everyone. My name is Shamika Rhymes. Welcome to blackdoctor.org. And I am super excited about today's show. We're going to explore the intricacies of Black family dynamics and relationships. And we're going to take a look at the unique challenges that Black families face. And whether they're influenced by cultural and societal expectations, how to address generational trauma, and strategies for navigating those conflicts and strengthening family bonds. But we're also going to take a look at the mental health aspect and what role that plays in maintaining healthy relationships and how to recognize when you might need to get the help of a therapist. So I am so excited about today's guest. Like, I have been so hyped. Joining us today is the phenomenal Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. You've seen her on these internet streets. She has been, you've seen her recently with Cam Newton and Nick Cannon, and those interviews have been amazing. But she's also a celebrated psychology expert and renowned life coach. She's the co-producer of MTV's hit show Teen Mom Family Reunion. And Dr. Bryant, you have an amazing resume, but I love that you're also the founder of the Dr. Bryant Institute and Foundation, and you're the #1 best-selling author of the book Mental Detox. I love that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shamika, for having me, and thank you all for having this platform, blackdoctor.org. It's important to shine a light on what folks that look like us are doing in our community and how that serves our community. And it's very important that people of all ages, not just youth, can come to a platform like this and see people who have come from a similar background, similar struggle, even similar trauma, and have made it out and into a new dimension that allows them to really thrive and no longer have to survive. So I thank y'all for having this. This is a wonderful platform, and I'm so honored to be on it. So thank you for the invite.
Oh, we love having you here. So we're going to jump right on in because I feel like sometimes my questions will take a left, but but I know you can hang with me.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, let's cook in.
How do cultural and societal expectations within the Black community influence family dynamics? And what unique challenges do Black families face in maintaining unity?
Yeah, I love that question. So the unity piece is something that I feel is very much affected by societal and cultural norms, right? I feel like we are used to hearing, seeing from the media, even from our own internal culture and community about the division of the Black family, the division between Black women and Black men, the division even within the LGBTQ plus community of Black women, Black men, Black women, Black transgender, and all of those different moving parts. And I feel like because there's so many different moving parts within our community, and I would like to believe that there's more moving parts in our community than other communities, there's a lot of things that we do have to process. There's a lot of things that we do have to identify with or not identify with. And one thing that's really becoming impactful is this whole single mama Black family thing, or this whole broken home versus the broken family. And I want to explain the difference. A broken home is as simple as a single family home. A single parent home. If there's one parent in the home, whether you want to admit it or not, you are in a broken home. A broken family consists of two parents in the home, but the home is not functioning to a level of healthiness. It is so impaired that that family collectively cannot function at a healthy level. So that is a broken family. And so we got two different things going on. Within the Black community, it seems like we have more broken homes than we do broken families. And statistically, it shows that you have a lot of single parent homes. That's single mama or single papa, right? But when we are in the home together, meaning as a family, operating as a family, there is a lot of functionality that's there. However, back to your question, media and cultural norms shows that the Black family, even when it's not a broken home, but it is a family dynamic, also is struggling and is in survival mode. Is that true for some families? Of course. Is it true for all Black families? Absolutely not. And so I believe that we need to shift up the cultural norms and societal norms by platforming the families that are doing well, the families who are not broken families. That doesn't mean they're perfect. It just means they have the tools and they've learned how to get support, and they've also learned how to process through the normalcy of relationship or family issues. There's a normal dysfunction and there is a normal level of toxicity that does exist in all relationships, especially the healthy ones. We need to make sure that we are setting a cultural norm that says, listen, everything doesn't call for a divorce, right? But everything doesn't call for you staying either. There is there is a tool in a lesson that needs to be taught in when do I stay and when do I pivot, right? And when am I staying too long? And when am I staying too long? But when is my pivoting being a self-sabotage and not a healthy decision? We talk more in our culture about, I'm gonna go there, about sex, about the importance of it. We talk more about the importance of division. We talk more about the importance of competition, the importance of the optics of, when I say a house, I'm talking about the person looking like a mansion, but the substance, the home inside of them being completely homeless. So we don't talk about how it's homeless. We talk about how the optics of you, Shamika, looks wonderful and is a mansion. We ain't talking about the brokenness. We're not talking about the substance that doesn't exist. If it doesn't, how do we get substance there? Not so that you can become valuable to society or valuable to a partner, but so you can become valuable to yourself. And so that you have a sense of self, a sense of who you are, a sense of what's inside of your home, and not just how you are prettying up, right? The optics of your mansion that really is a broken home inside. Because we can teach what we know, but we create who we are. And so you can know how to build a mansion. You can know how to do a lot of things, and you can teach that. We will always create the emptiness of that broken home that you are within yourself. And broken people create broken relationships, and broken relationships create broken homes and or broken families. And so where it starts is with self. It's accountability. And we also have to stop coddling and or making or creating false narratives just to bring logic to bad decision making. We are a culture that has to be into a place of, listen, yes, we have, or I have made bad decisions. However, I'm not doomed. Where do I go from here, Dr. Bryant? Where are the tools to get myself out of what I've created so I can shift who I am internally, so that I can not just be teaching the things that I know, but not living in that which is in alignment with what I'm teaching. I can create who I am. I can create good relationships, healthy relationships, and not just healthy relationships at a romantic level, but healthy relationships at a transactional level, at a business level, right? At a level where you're just greeting and talking to someone else who looks like you or doesn't look like you. And that relationship can also be healthy. So there's a lot of norms that I feel that we have prophesized and fulfilled, which is called a self-fulfilling prophecy over ourselves, that we don't have to do. And we're also plugged in and tied to a lot of things that make us Black, that make us a Black family. For example, people will have certain questions, not all the time, very rarely, but I want to use this as a good example of the kind of Black doctor I should be. Well, let me explain something to you. My name is Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, and the decisions I make, I'm the one that has to live in the results of those. I dictate the kind of Black doctor I am internally and externally. I dictate the kind of Black woman and doctor I want to dress, I want to serve, I want to represent, and those that can relate to me, that are conducive to my purpose and what I represent, I will calibrate. And those that I don't, I'm okay with, right? I'm okay with. But I say that to say, we have the right, Shamika, and we have to push the norm that we get to choose what kind of Black we want to be. And we don't have to choose that Black to be in alignment with any Black negative or distorted norms, negative or distorted statistics, or negative or distorted stereotypes. We don't have to be that, or we can choose to be that. But make sure it's a choice and not something that you're just ending up in because of the lack of information, the lack of tools, and the lack of sense of self.
Woo, you preached the sermon right there, which is actually going to lead into a question I had for later, but I'm going to bring it up now because I think it fits. Because I've heard you talk about the high value, low value man or woman and the high functioning, low functioning man or woman. Can you break that down and explain the difference? Because I think it relates to what self you're presenting and what self that maybe you are trying to be.
Yeah, I love that. So listen, you have high functioning people who can be high functioning and high value. And you have people who can just be high value and low functioning. So what does that mean? A man or a woman, because high value goes for everybody, of all races, of all genders, of all communities. If you're a high value, that just means that your net worth or your income or your success is at a high level. That means that you are at a high value when it comes to worth, financially, fiduciary, or your success or your accolades. However, what is very common is folks who are high value, meaning successful, high in those things I just named, can oftentimes be low functioning. Low functioning just means that you do not have the ability to regulate your emotions, which is emotional intelligence, and not let your trauma or your unhealed self show up, choose for you, respond for you, or react for you. Okay. High functioning means that you can feel what you feel. You can be triggered. You can be inflamed. Your trauma and your ego can say, listen, finish them, take her head off, say these things, right? Your pain will say, look, let the pain in you handle this, because hurt people hurt people. So let's hurt this person. Let's say something that would demean them, disempower them, emasculate them. Okay. High functioning person feels, or should I say, identifies all those emotions. And before they get in their feelings, because feelings cause issues, emotions do not. So once you're in your emotion of I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm frustrated, okay, that tends to trigger my trauma. My trauma tends to have me behave in a very, very, very low functioning way, which is I'm going to hit this person, I'm going to demean them, I'm going to emasculate them, right? High functioning just means I take that information, I identify it, I respect and honor my emotions. I don't let it get me into my feelings. And I ask myself, okay, what message would you like to send? What boundary would you like to set? All right. So how can we set that boundary, send that message in the most effective, healthy way where we are disarming this person and we are providing this message, and whether they receive it or not, we are not going to be codependent on how they receive it. We are going to stand solid in the fact that whether they receive it or not, we sent the message and we can detach or we can shift and pivot and stay healthy. That's all that a high functioning person does, is I can regulate my emotions. I can decide to stay in my healthy space. I can allow my healthy self to show up to this conversation, and I can allow my healthy self to respect you, Shamika, even if we have a disagreement in the color of the sky or even in this conversation, and I can still respect you as my sister in this conversation while you disagree with my opinion or my expertise. And I don't allow your disagreement to make me feel less than. I'm emotionally intelligent enough to respect your opinion and say, listen, it holds just as much value as mine. It's just different. And low functioning looks like I disagree. So now I'm going to demean you. I'm going to cut below the belt because you're disagreeing with that at which I'm saying. So another thing I want to add to, if you get someone who's extremely high functioning, they also tend to be very transactional.
Oh.
And so it doesn't always work well in relationships. This is why I say a hybrid is more of what we all should be aiming to be, because there's no such thing as a perfect person. So a hybrid looks like a person who's high functioning enough to be transactional in business, to be transactional in relationships, so that they're able to show up in a way that breeds the result that they want. However, they have enough low functioning familiarity, enough low functioning in them to facilitate things when they do dip low, because all of us will dip low at some time. We're not perfect.
Right.
It doesn't look like once you dip low, I go low with you and we just have this warfare. What it looks like is, hold on, Shamika, I've been low functioning before, and I see you're being low functioning right now. So I know how to facilitate you and not judge you. I know how to deliver you and not dismiss you in your low functioning. But my high functioning within my hybridness allows me to identify your low functioning and still operate at a healthy level. So the hybridness says, girl, I've been there. So since I've been there, I can empathize and I have compassion. And I'm going to facilitate you in there. I'm not going to attack you in that. And that's pretty much what I did with Cam Newton. Because my high functionality allowed me to facilitate him and not personalize anything that was going on. But the fact that I have been low functioning at some point, and I can get low at some moments in my life, depending on the situation and how I'm triggered, I was able to have compassion for him, back him and go, I've seen this before in myself. And so let me give you what I know I needed in that moment.
Mm. Yeah.
How we should be dealing with each other. I'm delivering you in that moment. I'm not dismissing you and judging you and telling you that because I identify with what you're doing now, because I've done it before, because I say it in my book, if you spot it, you got it, or you've done it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there no more, Shamika. I'm just going to have my way with you, and I'm going to judge you, and I'm going to dismiss you because of what you're doing. No, I've been there, sis. So let me facilitate you in this low functioning space. I get there. Can you please do me the favor and facilitate me in that? Because I don't want to be judged when I'm low. I don't want to be suppressed more when I'm already doing that to myself. I need to help me deliver me. And that's what a healthy relationship looks like. That's the dynamic of what that relationship looks like.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people were like, how is she handling this interview? But like you said, if you knew exactly what to do during those moments. And because I was like, Lord, but I was like, I've been there too. It might have looked a little different. So I appreciate that you showed us that example, because now we have something we can look at to see exactly what you were doing. That makes so much sense. Now, I think you kind of touched on a little bit of this, but I want to go back to some effective communication strategies for families that are managing conflicts and maintaining healthy relationships. Because I also saw like a meme, it might have been earlier, maybe not a meme, but I think someone posted that sometimes even having a father in the home, and you were talking about this earlier, but sometimes having that father or that mother in the home doesn't always mean they're present.
100%. I love that because someone came in my DMs and asked that question, and kudos to that woman who asked it. And the answer was, again, if the father is present or even the mother is present, right? Excuse me, if they're in the home but not present, or they're in the home and they're causing impairment, they're in the home and they're causing the family to function at a very impaired level, that is called a broken family. But that's not a broken home. And so if that family is broken, doesn't mean that family is doomed. It just means that family needs to get in a place where the conducive and effective tools are given to them on how to get some clarity on what is needed for each moving part in that household, every individual to operate at their full potential. The reason why I said their full potential is because we don't have a right to self-project onto others what potential looks like for them. Because I always say this, we have gallon-sized people and we have pint-sized people. This person is no better than this person and vice versa. However, a gallon-sized person, when it pours into the pint-sized person, system overload. Too much, this person will flee, sabotage because it's too much. But if the pint-sized person pours into the gallon-sized person, look how much is left. They're not put up, they're not topped off. This person has to learn how to self-soothe. This person will overcompensate for what is missing that the pint-sized person cannot fill up. When you have a household full of different people, different personalities, you got to tap in and find out who's the gallon, who's a pint size, who is system overload when the family moves in a certain way, who's the gallon who seems to be unfulfilled, unnoticed, but they're doing so well. What is it that they need to be topped off, filled up as a gallon? You have to be able to identify the moving parts in this household so the family can thrive and people are not just surviving because it's so much brokenness that nobody can function. And all that takes is communication and the right tools. A lot of broken families that end up in divorce are only in divorce because of one reason. They never knew how to problem solve to begin with. They never have the tools. Every problem is a conversation away from the solution. And if you and I are willing to sit down and have a conversation and we're both willing to resolve, we can figure out a negotiable means to where you and I can both be at least satisfied or somewhat happy in our negotiation. And if we learn where we plug into with each other, meaning where it's conducive and where we do not plug into. And if we both know that, Shamika, as best friends, we can be like, girl, this is when you know I don't plug in because it don't work well for me. And you can respect that. And you can tell me, hey, doc, listen, I don't enter into them conversations with you. This ain't my place. And I can say, I got you. I know. And we can respect each other because a relationship that's healthy is based on, like the Bible says, it's based on loving your partner, mom, friend, partner, love partner by knowledge of them. I don't need to understand you, Shamika. If I love you, I need to know you. I need to know what works for you and what doesn't, so I can respect those boundaries and I
Right.
can pour into you that at which you need to flourish and to thrive.
Mm-hmm. Now, what happens when you are trying to get to know, you're in this relationship, whether you're married or just in a relationship, you're trying to get to know them so that you can pour into them, and you're asking them, what do you need? And they say, I don't know what to tell you because I don't know. Then what
Yeah.
do you do?
Well, this is one thing, right? There's a beginning stage and season of every relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And if by time you're in a committed relationship with this person, you have not noticed and gained awareness that this person doesn't have a strong sense of self, one or two things is what that means. It means that law of attraction, meaning you attract who you are despite of who you think you are. That means you yourself do not have a strong sense of self. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe you both can take that opportunity to help each other figure out what tools do we need collectively to gain a sense of self within ourselves, so we can gain a sense of self for this relationship collectively. Or you chose that person knowing they don't
Mm-hmm.
have a strong sense of self. This person is a person that's not a person of clarity within them. And the
Right.
way you would know that is because, again, people will always give you who you are. One thing you can always you can bank on for sure, and you can trust a person in doing is being exactly who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So when a person shows up as who they are and you still chose them, that means in your mind, you thought at some point potential was shifting to your ideology of them. That doesn't work. And so what happens is, I said this on Cam Newton's podcast, we're not Jesus. Fortunately and unfortunately, we don't turn water to wine. And so when you get water, it is water. And your disconnect between reality, being that it's water, and perception, which is your ideology that you blanket water with, is your problem. Because if you come into a relationship knowing this person had no sense of self, but you still chose them thinking you can either help or change, or they would evolve at a certain time in the relationship, and then now you want to gaslight them and say, well, you don't have no sense of self. You can't lead the relationship. You're
Mm-hmm.
not doing these things. I will bet 99.9, I really want to say 100% of the time, this person was already showing those signs.
Right.
You held on to a different moving part about them
Mm-hmm.
that you really liked, and you allowed this to eclipse you from all the stuff that didn't work for you. That is called a person who's choosing out of despair, because a
Mm-hmm.
person who's not choosing out of despair is taking a step back to say, let me be an observer of as much of who you are as I
Mm-hmm.
can, and let me see you for the water you are and not the wine that I want you to be. And so then we don't end up with the wolf in sheep clothing. We can end up saying, no, girl, I chose the wolf. I like people with big teeth. I like a woman with sharp teeth. I know what I chose. And so now I'm just learning how to be with what I chose. Those are
Mm-hmm.
two different situations,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Knowing who you chose is different than saying, now I'm trying to make you fit into this ideology that I have of you, when
Mm-hmm.
we do not have permission and we don't have the right to take someone and say, we want to conform you. We
Mm-hmm.
have to start choosing people for how they're built. If a person is not built, meaning that's who they are, their DNA, naturally, organically, how they show up, they're not built to what's conducive for you. You should not be choosing that person. And vice
Mm-hmm.
versa, because you're not going to rebuild and restructure. People don't change, we shift. And when we shift, all we do is shift into something slightly different,
Mm-hmm.
but who we are is always there. What we do learn is how to manage the parts of us that don't serve us. Those parts of us don't dissipate. All they do is regulate, and they inflame depending on the circumstance and
Mm-hmm.
relationship that we're in. And when they inflame, do we have the necessary tools to come in and manage that which doesn't serve us?
Right.
That's it. So no one is going to change and become a different person from you for you, and nor will you for them. So
Right.
inclusiveness, likability,
Mm-hmm.
compatibility, they are the nucleus to a healthy relationship, not love.
Ooh, I want to. That was so good. I mean, I hear a lot of people sometimes saying, like, this didn't actually, it was an interview I watched on something else, but the woman was saying she had planned this whole like
Mm.
engagement or proposal, had the script in her head because she was watching some romantic comedy or whatever show, and it didn't go like that. He didn't get down on his knee and say it the way she thought. He just said, will you marry me? And she had an issue with that because she's like, you didn't follow the script. So I do think we tend to sometimes, and I'm guilty of it, have that script in your head of how you want things to go and how that person should be. And that's not how it works.
And that's how it is. And then then we end up brokenhearted. And I
Yep.
always say, anyone, male or female, with a fairy tale ideology,
Mm-hmm.
break your own heart. You break
Yeah.
your own heart because you choose to not see that person for who they are. You choose to not see that this person is cheating on you. You choose to not identify him as a womanizer or her as a gold digger or a user. You're choosing not to see those things because red flags are usually very bright at the beginning. Even if it's not the first week, it's in the first 3 to 6 months. You're
Right.
choosing not to see them out of your despair to just want to be in a relationship or just needing to trauma bond, because a lot of times people are choosing trauma so they can keep their trauma fed, and they don't even know they're choosing that, because whatever we feed stays alive. And if you choose someone healthy, they may appear to be boring, but they're not feeding your dysfunction. And dysfunction
Right.
always feels like there's a lot going on or that it's not boring, because healthiness brings about calmness and it brings about what I call God's peace. And so for someone who's not there yet, that can become boring for them.
Mm-hmm.
So trauma is inflamed and trauma bonds are intense and it's a lot going on and it seems like it's passion, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's trauma, and it's feeding the dysfunction in you that has created barriers between you and you. And so whenever you have a barrier between you and you cannot connect with anything outside of you. So
Yeah.
you are this beautiful mansion who
Mm-hmm.
has nothing but emptiness inside. And so your home is homeless. You just got four walls, and that's very unfortunate. Very
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. So well, let's talk about mental health for a little bit, but how does mental health play a role in family relationships, and what are some signs that a family could benefit from seeking a therapist?
Well, one, I think that everyone, families, single women, divorcees, every race, community, culture, human, if you're breathing,
Yeah.
should be definitely making therapy or a effective life coach a lifestyle. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that therapy or coaching should be used as an intervention. It should be used as a prevention. And so I think that tools are needed. Women get into relationships or a marriage with this idea and this fairy tale of either what they've seen their father be, and so she wants to emanate that, or she's a fatherless little girl, what he wasn't. And she wants to create this fairy tale of what he wasn't so she can overcompensate and get that in what her husband hopefully will be. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's a fairy tale ideology. So she gets into it and she's like geeked up and she's like, he doesn't fit any of this, but he's a really good man. But because he doesn't fit this box,
Mm-hmm.
I don't deem him as valuable. Men get into relationships and they go, I love her. This is going to be good. I'm ready. Then marriage happens, our children, our family, and they go, okay, I didn't know it was going to take all this work. Shit,
Mm-hmm.
game time. Let me
Right.
figure this out. Let me see how I can do it. Let me see how I can reach her bar. And the woman with the fairy tale ideology, when he reaches this bar, guess what she does?
Raise it up.
Guess what she does?
Mm-hmm.
So what does this man do?
Mm-hmm.
Now he's in survival mode. Now he's disempowered. Now
Mm-hmm.
he has doubt. Now he shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's saying, you used to, you shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Is it somebody else? And all he's trying to do is figure out how in the hell does he reach this bars,
Right.
bars, and
Mm-hmm.
and he can't. And guess who's watching? His son.
Yeah.
His son is watching him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, emasculate himself because he can't reach all these bars. And so his son starts saying, huh? Women just got too high of standards. Hold on. I can't trust women. Wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute. We're on a refuge or a safe space. Hold on. So this young man grows up to have resentment and a dislike subconsciously for women.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what we're facing in our Black community today.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it appears that Black men just don't like Black women. And when I say don't like Black women, I'm not saying they don't like Black women because they're dating outside of their race. What I'm saying is it's Black men who are married to Black women. It's Black men who love to date Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like Black women because of what I just described and many other
Mm-hmm.
concerns, mommy issues, daddy issues, and even
Right.
identity crisis issues that that man may have. But when you grow up seeing that, you don't look at a marriage or this partnership as being a deliverance, a
Mhm.
refuge, safe space. You look at it at being a place where you have to survive, a place where you have to keep reaching bars, a place where there's total conditions, a place where no matter how well you do, you're just saying good enough.
Mhm.
And that's not what a marriage is created for. It's not created for perfection, but it is created for refuge. It is created for a safe space. It is created for conversation. It's created for hard decisions to be made and for
Mhm.
people to be accepted at their full potential that they're giving. And you use your free will to choose them or not choose them. But if you choose him or her, then you got to facilitate and you got to show up and you got to know what you're choosing. You can't gaslight that person for not being what you wanted them to be. You
Right.
just don't have that permission or that right to do that. You have the right to unchoose them.
Mhm.
You have the right to choose different, but you don't have the right to try to conform or contort them to be something that one, they're not built, or two, they may not want to be. They may not want to be.
Mhm. Well, how should Black families, not necessarily you, but how do Black families address that generational trauma? Like you said, if that son is watching, seeing what's going on in the home, then he goes and has kids. Then they see it, and then it just continues and continues. And same for little girls, they're seeing what's going on, maybe how daddy's treating mommy, and then they grow up and go into a relationship that's similar to that, and they have the same type of resentment. So how do they like address those generational traumas while still trying to build strong supportive relationships and families?
Yeah, love. Great question as well. Girl, all your questions are just so good. Insightful. Thank you. But how that happens is again, everybody needs to first carry their own cross. Carry your
Yeah.
own cross, right? Carrying your cross means what? It means that you are taking your cross before you put it on your back and you're taking inventory of it. What does my cross consist of, right? What is my trauma? What does someone get when they get me? Well, what do they get when they get me?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what is a person who is me, who has this cross, who has this crucifixion, who has these resurrections? What does this person need to thrive, not survive, but thrive in a relationship? Okay. This is what this person needs. All right. So where would that type of person be? And let me try to make sure that I'm identifying with that type of person being that's who they are authentically, that's how
Mhm.
they're built, and I'm not trying to contort them, right?
Mhm.
After that, once I'm in a relationship or dating, we're dating before relationships, people, right?
Right.
Let's be a little more careful with such casualty. Such casualty. Let's go in and have appropriate relationship commitment conversations instead of
Mhm.
going to dinner and trying to figure out what everybody drives or what someone can do for us fiduciarily or sexually. Let's
Mhm.
talk about the substance. I see you a mansion. What's in your house? Let's talk about what
Right.
kind of furniture you got. Let's talk
Mhm.
about what you've gone through. Let's talk about what do you feel you need in a partner? What are some of the things about you that you feel need to be facilitated
Mhm.
emotionally? How available are you to yourself? Let's have these real conversations
Yeah.
that, in my opinion, these conversations are foreplay to sex in the bedroom.
Mhm.
When we're having conversations that allow me to intimately into UIC, that's foreplay. By the time you touch in my body, we are already having sex.
Mhm.
So for that, right, we should be having foreplay that looks like conversation that tells us internally who we are, that
Mhm.
shows us internally the brokenness. And this is the thing. If we want to be loved unconditionally, Shamika, we have to show the conditions. And
Mhm.
I believe, at least I lead with this, I show the conditions because I want to be loved unconditionally. And I'm
Yeah.
not be drained and exhausted by having to cover up and mask and put on a costume every morning that I wake up to you. Every
Right.
morning. No, 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 no. This is what you get. I was
Mhm.
a little girl. I experienced abandonment. I grew up to be a broken woman. I grew up to be an abandoned woman. So this is what an abandonment looks like. When I'm inflamed, she may trip out. When you trigger me and I start to feel like something is uncontrollable, I may need your reassurance. This is what reassurance looks like. If you're in a meeting and I text you, can you text back and say, baby, 2 more hours. I hit you when I'm done. See, I
Mhm.
communicate with you and not be in the fear of how are you going to judge me? How are you
Mhm.
going to receive me? How broken are you going to see me? right? How judged am I going to be from showing you the realness of who I am?
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to stand in every moving part of who you are, because self-love means loving everything about you, the good, the bad, the ugly, the horrible decisions, the brokenness, the crucifixion, the resurrection. And when you meet somebody, you have to bring that to the table. Bring
Right.
it to the table. And listen, men and women, but women, if he can't penetrate your heart, stop letting them penetrate your body. Straight up. Straight up. If you can't
Yeah.
penetrate your heart, he shouldn't be penetrating your body. Now,
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm not knocking women who like casual sex, who are, of age or
Right.
season. I'm not saying don't do that if that's where you're at. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're in a place of you're looking for marriage, you're looking for commitment, then that look and that feel and that engagement has to be different. And you have to do different to calibrate different. And you have to lead with different, because whatever someone leads with, Shamika, tells you what they find valuable about themselves.
Right. Right. Oh,
What they
yeah.
find, men who lead with money, they find money being their most valuable asset.
Mm-hmm.
Women who lead with sex, they find sex being their most valuable asset.
Mm-hmm.
Women who lead with, I have questions and I want to know more, she's leading with, I find information about you
Mm-hmm.
valuable to me because I'm choosing someone who is internally substance, not externally a great optics. And that makes for a difference. So, two people coming together should have open conversations, which I call foreplay, about
Mm-hmm.
everything you want to know. The last thing you should be worried about is, how am I going to be affected by
Right.
this person's judgment of me? Because the truth is, if you do more or go past and end up in a relationship with this person, you will become impacted by everything you were not open to having a conversation about. So I would much rather a person be affected by the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of someone's judgment or lack of compassion than impacted long term for something that you were too in fear of having a conversation about. Because someone who loves you wants to answer all your questions. Or let's take love out. Someone who likes you or has an interest in you past the optics,
Mm-hmm.
they want to be vulnerable with you. They want you to ask questions. They want to answer the questions.
Right.
They're here for it all. They're here for it all. And if they're not, be strong enough in yourself to respectfully pivot.
Mm-hmm.
Respectfully pivot. We have to be okay with self-soothing while we're single, because
Yes.
that's going to pay off when we're married. Because
Mm-hmm.
no one's going to cap you off, turn you up, turn you on, and fill you up at 100%. You may get 80, you may get 70, you may get 85, but that 20, 25, 15%, like the Bible says, marriage is about discipline. How
Mm-hmm.
disciplined are you when you are not being fulfilled or satisfied by your partner? To self-soothe. Self-soothe doesn't just mean sexually. Read a book, take a walk, go to brunch, go to lunch, watch a show, take a bath, take a shower, have a glass of wine. What do you do when your partner ain't doing it?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not self-soothing, you're overcompensating. Then that opens the door for cheating, because cheating isn't sexual, it's emotional, it's intellectual, it's
Mm-hmm.
mental. And so, yeah, people got to be able to carry their cross, look at themselves, figure out what they really need, gain a sense of self so you can choose better. Because when you choose better, you date better. When you date better, you marry better. If you marry better, then we
Mm-hmm.
have families.
So, at what point do you know when you are healed enough? I mean, I don't know if you're ever completely healed, but healed enough to say, okay, now I can choose better. Now I can do better in my relationship, my marriage. I can do better and model a relationship that's healthy for my kids. How do
Mhm.
you know when you've reached that point of, okay, I'm good, I'm healthy now?
So, two-part answer. One, we never fully heal.
Right.
And that's good because if we did, we'd be robots, and we want to be
Right.
right. There's something very cold and dehumanized when someone is just perfect. You never get that, and that's a facade. So we never ever fully heal. We're
Mm-hmm.
always a work in process, a work in progress. We're always arriving and arriving and arriving, and that's what makes a healing journey so fun, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes relationships able to cleave,
Yeah.
right? Able to cleave and able to love and support each other. How you know, though, is very simple. Trauma needs people, healthiness wants people. So
Mm-hmm.
when you want somebody, that's your healthy self saying, I want him or her, I want them. When you are in need, codependency, that's your trauma, that's your dysfunction, that's your pain needing to be fed. so it can stay alive and stay present in you and in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can say, no, I don't need this person, but I damn sure want them. And I
Yeah.
want them because of these ways. And I want them because when I'm with them, I get to experience a certain person that I am because
Mm-hmm.
they activate that in me. And I activate these things in them. So we want each other. That goes to the likability of I like you. I want you. I want to be around you. I miss you, right? Love oftentimes comes with the I need you. That's a trauma bond. Anytime you need someone, that's a
Mm-hmm.
trauma bond. And this is the scary part about needing. If I need you, Shamika, because you call me every day, every single morning, and you just set the momentum for my day, I
Mm-hmm.
need you for that. Well, as soon as the need goes, where do you think my connection to you goes? It goes with the need.
Right.
So if I want you, that means I'm wanting you for a lot of your moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one thing I need. A need is fixated. I need you for sex. I need you to pay the bills. I need you to make me feel better. I need you to motivate me. I need you to inspire me.
Mm-hmm.
I need you, right? Those are me picking out something I need in you. That
Right.
means the rest of the moving parts I don't really want to deal with. And when those
Mm-hmm.
parts enter into the relationship, guess what? I unplug because
Mm-hmm.
people who need you plug into the need. They're not plugging into you. Very dangerous relationship. That's what a
Yeah.
trauma bond is. That's why when a lot of people who have trauma bond come into my session and they start to heal, they either fall very, very much in like and
Mm-hmm.
love with each other, or they do what we call growing apart. Because a healthy relationship is a whole different relationship than a trauma bond.
Mm-hmm.
People who can sustain and survive in a trauma bond sometimes cannot sustain and thrive in a healthy relationship. Because just because my trauma loves you and likes you doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean the healthy part is going to love and like your healthy part. Those are two different experiences. And so, how you know is if I want you, it's because I've experienced enough of you to identify with me wanting you. If I need you, I've fixated on the one thing I need and I plugged into that. I'm not plugging into you. And so, even us as healthy people, I want someone
Mm-hmm.
who wants me. Because then I also know that if you want me, I don't have to save you. Because whatever we save, we got to maintain. So now
Right.
carry your cross for you to the place of crucifixion, then I have to help maintain your crucifixion and maintain your resurrection. And we can't crucify or resurrect anybody for their pain and their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a dead end road. You're setting yourself up for a letdown.
Right. Right.
You find yourself wanting somebody, like, no, I want this, then that's a healthy place you're coming from. And you're choosing somebody that can actually sustain self sufficiently without you. But it doesn't mean that they're going to ever want to be without you.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Well, so once these couples have decided, okay, not decided, but they've healed enough where they're wanting each other, how can they avoid burnout and still maintain that sense of healthiness and that excitement and newness in their relationship?
So great, right? Great question. The burnout piece comes from when two people, the gallon and the pint, get together and
Hmm.
they have chosen unequal or not equally
Right.
yoked partners. Okay. But let's say you have an equally yoked partner for the sake of a different type of couple.
Okay.
Uh, Burnout only happens when two people are not self soothing. This is why self soothing is so important
Hmm.
because if we are so entangled that we're doing this and all of a sudden we're just like, we're drained, we're exhausted, we're burnt out, right?
Hmm.
That's when we check in and we have to say, okay, babe, listen, I can give you all of this, but this part, that's for me. This
Hmm.
part is for me. Now, when I'm doing me, can you do you? And when we're doing ourself, can we self soothe?
Hmm.
How can we learn to self soothe so that we don't turn outwardly to get what we're missing in that little 20% inwardly?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And this is why majority of men, almost all majority of men who have side women don't leave the wife for the side woman. It's because the side woman is there for the soothing part when the wife can't do it. She's not there to be in the main role and position.
Mm-hmm.
Because in reality, she really is only the 20, the 15, the 10, and sometimes the 5% he ain't getting at home. What's
Mm-hmm.
at home is the 60%, the 70%. She's the more of the half.
Mm-hmm.
And when he can't plug into her because she's tapped out, or in your word, burnt out, hold on, he plugs into her.
Mm-hmm.
So all she's doing is helping him accumulate his 100%
Mm-hmm.
of a woman that he needs, because that man has to continuously be stimulated. And we're
Mm-hmm.
not talking about only sexually stimulated. We're
Right.
talking about mentally, emotionally entertained. He just needs to be stimulated.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't learned the discipline of self-soothing when his 60 or 70 or 80% or 85% wife
Mm-hmm.
is taking me time, or she may not be taking me time. She's a mother. There's time
Yeah.
away for this child. She's a career woman. She's on the road. So if you are choosing any relationship,
Mm-hmm.
at home wife, your job is to figure out, can I self soothe in this gap where he or she is not filling me up or topping me off? And if you can't, let's figure out what self soothing looks like for you. So you have a toolbox of, this is my self soothing tools. Let me pick out and go to one that works for me. For me, it's
Mm-hmm.
the gym. I love the gym. It's cathartic for me. So if my partner isn't doing it, I'm either reading a book, doing a YouTube, watching a YouTube self empowerment video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running 4 or 5 miles somewhere with everything from gospel to trap music in my ears because I'm
Right.
a hybrid, self-soothing. So by the time
Yeah.
I get home, he's got his me time, I self-soothe, and we can go back into this without burnout.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, the self-soothing mechanism is something that people have to and should learn in their single world. And they
Mm-hmm.
should take that into the dating world and into their marriage, because burnout is real. Burnout
Mm-hmm.
is real.
It is. It absolutely is. Even with work, it's real because you have to find something to help you de-stress, just kind of maybe check out for a little bit. Like I found yoga helps me. Like I block out time on my calendar. I'm at yoga, don't bother me, the phone's turned off.
Yeah, and I want to add one more thing that adds to the burnout. It's called attachment anxiety.
Oh
So a lot
yes.
of people who have attachment anxiety, they burn themselves out, but more than anything, they burn their partner out. Because
Mm.
attachment anxiety is, if I'm not plugged in and attached to you, if I'm not fused to you, I'm having anxiety. I'm having anxiety.
Yeah.
And so the only way that I regulate my anxiety is fuse you, fuse, fuse,
Oh,
fuse, fuse, fuse. And this person who may not have attachment anxiety is like, they're trying their best, but they're like, whew,
mhm.
whew, right? This is a
Yeah.
lot. This is a lot. And so the person with the attachment anxiety has to work through that anxiety
Mhm.
by reminding themselves and doing a fact check that says, am I with a trusting partner? Yes.
Mhm.
Anxiety should start to dissipate. Do I have a safe space with my partner? Yes. Okay. Anxiety starts to dissipate. Last time that my partner took an hour break, or was in a 2 hour meeting, or went to the gym for an hour, or played basketball for a couple hours, or she went to brunch with her girlfriends, did she come home? Yes. Did
Mhm.
anything happen bad? No. So
Mhm.
this is the self-talk tool that works by fact checking. Last
Okay.
time they detached from me physically, did they detach from me emotionally? No. So then let me regulate my emotions. Everything's going to be all right.
Mhm.
Return. They will return. Let me self-soothe. Let me see what I can do that keeps me positively, respectfully, entertained or
Right.
occupied while they're doing what they need to do.
Mhm.
Because attachment anxiety is real and it's very intense, and anxiety is going through the roof. And that person who's having that attachment anxiety, they are literally having a really hard, dark time. They are having a really hard, dark time. And that stems from abandoned little boys and girls,
Yeah.
kids who are experiencing parents who are detached, detached, and
Mhm.
they don't know how to do that. And when they get older and they find someone who they can attach to, and it feels safe, they clench. They
Mhm.
clench.
Mhm.
And life and relationships are meant to be lived in a surrender space.
Yeah.
Surrender space, because emotions and experiences are meant to move through us,
Mm-hmm.
right? But watch this. If pain comes through or sadness comes through and we clench onto that, what are we holding on to?
Yeah.
What are we experiencing? We experience whatever we hold on to. We
Yep.
have free will to create whatever narrative, which is going to create the experience that we want. The sooner I let go of my pain,
Mm-hmm.
oh, the sooner it goes. And then
Mm-hmm.
when joy comes through, latch on to that and hold on to it and as long as you can, because
Yeah.
if you let go of that, then that moves too. But the idea is to let things move through you, because life is about experiences. We're meant to experience life, not personalize it and
Mm-hmm.
hold on to it. Now I'm resentful because I'm holding on to what you said. I'm holding on to what you didn't do. I'm holding on to who you
Yeah.
are. I'm holding on to my mommy good. I'm holding on to I should have been further in life. Come on, surrender to that. That's the way it leaves you. That's the way it passes through. And give yourself a chance to get a new experience and then plug into that one if you love it. But stop
Yeah.
plugging into those things that don't serve you, that keep you feeling disempowered, dark,
Mm-hmm.
heavy. Let that stuff go.
I love that. That right there was like a weight lifting off my shoulders, because it is just like one of my friend used to say, just be free. Just let things flow.
Yeah.
Dr. Bryant, this has been an amazing, amazing conversation. How can people reach out to you, or if they want to, you know, get you to help them get their life on track?
Absolutely. My website is drbryant.co, and that's drbryant.co, not .com. On social media, I'm underscore Dr. Bryant, or you can just Google Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I come up #1 on Google, which is, pretty cool. And so on my website and on my social media, you can go and book a session. You can book me to speak at your event. You can book private retreats. You can book me to travel to you. I do in-house. Most of my sessions are virtual. And so, however we can get to you or get you to get the right tools, that's my purpose. I've been doing this for 17 years.
Mhm.
I love what I do. I love my clients. They think I'm changing their lives, and maybe I am. But
Mhm.
in reality, they are definitely changing my life as well. And so, it is definitely this reciprocity of me seeing them shift and grow and change, and me just learning from how God continuously blows their mind, and me being honored and privileged enough to witness it. I'm learning so much from them. And so it's this really beautiful relationship that they keep on give me credit for. And I always try to give credit to them because it's true. I'm going, I learn and I live through so much of the tools I give, but you're changing, you're shifting.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, get on there, y'all. Even if you don't come to me, which I'd love to have you, but go to a therapist, a life coach who has the tools that are conducive to where you want to be, who will
Mhm.
allow a safe space, a non-judgmental space for you to be who you are in session, and for you to get what you need, for you to get to where you want to be. And this is the thing, when you get to where you want to be, if it ain't where you want to be, don't freak out. You're not stuck. You're not doomed. You
Yeah.
have the free will to go where you want to be. And remember
Mhm.
this, God meets us where we are. We don't meet him where he is. And so he gives you the free will to be where you want to be, the wilderness or the promised land. But wherever
Mhm.
you are, there he is sustaining you and providing you with the tools to stay where you will to be. All you have to do is shift up the things in you, and everything connected to you shifts. So you want to be somewhere new, do something different. You want to have something different, do something new. And
Mhm.
that's what life's about. Growth is inevitable. You will either surrender to the process, meaning life is meant to be lived like this, or
Yeah.
you're drugged by life. Either way,
Mhm.
you're going to grow, you're going to shift, things are going to happen. So embrace it and do it in a healthy way.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bryant. This was amazing. And for everybody else, head over to blackdoctor.org and check out all the articles about relationships, mental health, therapy. There's a ton of articles over there and a lot of resources. So make sure you check it out. Again, blackdoctor.org. Thank you, Dr. Bryant. This has been amazing.
Shamika, you've been amazing. Your questions, even your insights. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate you. And I
Thank
love,
you.
love, love you guys' platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.